going to put, Kickstart My Heart by Motley with Bohemian Rhapsody, and we're going to go in and out of all of them, and then we're going to sing the verses of We Will Rock You. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is never going to work. And
that's exactly what he said. He goes, dude, you're freaking nuts.
Yeah, well, I said that to him anyway. but my favorite one is one time he used to make these skeleton versions of the tunes, and we did this one called Voices in the Jungle, which is a merge between Voices Carry by Till Tuesday with Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. And he sent me this mock-up that he would put together of the two songs. And it started with the Guns N' Roses guitar riff, right? But these were from the records because that's how I would learn them and how I'd get the structure. And then we'd, of course, record everything. But he was going, oh, in the dark I'd like to read him. But I'm frightened of the things that... You know what I mean? And it was just absurd, and I'm laughing. I'm sitting there on the floor in my house just cracking up listening to this. But then when we put it together, it was like, wow, watch this magic. Sort of happen, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Well, I mean, being a player and stuff, and anybody out there who's a player, you can.
Joe, I'm a player. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm a player too, man.
Yeah.
You can almost visualize or imagine or reimagine, if you will, what the stuff's going to sound like when you have a rough skeleton. And we were getting excited right from the get-go.
But in answer to a very long answer to a very short question, bro, every note was played by the band, and there was no taking stuff off anybody else's records.
Well, and going back to when we were younger, because we're in the same age range and whatnot, we used to listen to these pop songs, and in our heads we always heard the louder guitars with it, and, what we would do with it, we would rock it up and everything.
Sure, exactly.
So in a sense, that's what you guys have done and everything. But now, how did you guys choose the various songs? Dartboard, pull names from a hat, spit in the bottle?
God, that's a good question. I think, the first thing that I did, because I'm like very fond of making lists, and I made a list of all these great riffs from that era, and then we made a list of pop songs from that era, and I think I came to him with 400 songs, and Chuck was very, I really like funny stuff a lot, and Chuck was really good in terms of quality control for this, because he wouldn't let me get too crazy, I brought a list of all these songs, and a lot of them were really, how do I say this diplomatically, a lot of them were more on the silly side of things than more sophisticated, well-written songs. That the mark of a good song has always been, can you play this on an acoustic guitar and sing it and have it be cool? And if the answer to that is yes, then you can play it with a country kind of a vibe, or you can play it with kind of a bluesy vibe, or you can play it with a rock vibe or a pop vibe, and it's still going to be good. And I think that's the gauge he used. When we first started, I was thinking we'd do stuff like Love Shack. You know what I mean? With no disrespect to Love Shack, it probably would have, been harder to take it seriously, because a lot of the songs that we chose, I did have this huge list, and he liked a lot of the songs that I had written on that list, and I think he actually ended up bringing a couple other ones into it as well that weren't even on that list. But they're all like, when you think of a song like Straight Up, right, which we put with Kisses Detroit Rock City, we put Paul Abdul Straight Up with Kisses Detroit Rock City.
Which is one of the sickest combos on that CD. I love it.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. Well, that was actually, that one came from me because I was always a Kiss fan when I was a kid, and I just, I love talking like Paul Stanley, first of all, because it's a lot of fun to talk like this. But the thing is, I was saying, wouldn't it be funny, because, you got the chorus to Detroit Rock City going, get up, get down, and I thought, well, how far away is that from Straight Up, straight down? So we started putting that together. But Straight Up is a great song. That's a great song. You could play that. I think somebody actually did on American Idol a couple weeks ago, one of the new guys on American Idol, did it on acoustic. It's like a bluesy thing. It's a great song, man.
Straight up now, tell me, do you really want to love me forever? Or am I caught in a hit and run? Straight up now, tell me, is it gonna be you and me together? Or are you just having fun?
And every song, Voices Carry, is a great song. And all these songs that are, they're quote-unquote pop tunes, they're still really, really good songs. So our criteria was, are the songs cool? Okay. Now what can work with what? And how did you do that, man? How did you say, well, this is one will work good with this one? On the ones that I didn't suggest.
It was a lot of a process of elimination. We had a giant list of pop possibilities, and then we had a not so giant list of ultimate rock riffs that I love, and that we all love, that we all grew up, loving as guitar players and such. And just taking a few of them and saying, well, there's for example, I'll give you a perfect example. We definitely wanted to do a AC/DC song.
Yeah,
of course. You Shook Me All Night Long is one of those songs that everybody loves, whether you're at a disco or at a freaking rock show, and they play that song, everybody loves it.
Right.
So, and we love it too. So we're like, we definitely have to do that song. What can we match that with? So if you know what you're working with and the riff, and then you listen to other stuff, and then when we heard Madonna, and I heard the chord progression, I was like, you know what? Other than the key being different, this will totally work. So I changed the keys, grabbed my acoustic guitar, and started formulating, and all of a sudden it's like, bingo, that works. But there were a lot of songs where it's like, wow, we want to do this with that, and it just didn't work. And no matter how hard you tried to make it work, it just wasn't gonna work. So
I'll interject real quick, Chuck, and then I'd love you to continue. That when he came up with that Madonna one, see, I have like a crazy sense of humor. I was thrilled. I mean, he was happy that he made it work as well as he did, and he really did. But also, you know, that Like a Prayer song is another example of like, that's a great song. It doesn't matter who did it. But I was thrilled because I'm like, wow, you have Like a Prayer mixed with AC/DC, and half of their songs are Highway to Hell and stuff like that. And then we even worked Hell's Bells. It shows up in the bridge of that song. And I just love the absurdity of that, like, for myself. I just think it's so freaking cool that here we are singing Madonna's Like a Prayer with AC/DC's Hell's Bells over it. I just think that's hysterical. Anyway, go on with what you're saying, buddy.
that basically sums it up right there. Yeah. A lot of trial and error, man.
A lot of trial and error.
Yeah, Like a Prayer is like my favorite Madonna song too, and it just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I mean, it's like, wow, how lucky can you get? You know?
Right.
Now I got to know, was Cat Scratch Fever on your short list that just didn't make it?
Cat Scratch Fever was on the list, and one of the reasons that we didn't, and you never know what's going to happen on the second album, because the way I like to think of it now is now that the band's rescued, they can do songs from any era.
That's true.
They've opened up their ears, and so they're listening to everything. So that's probably where we're going to go. There's a scoop for you. But you know, we looked at Cat Scratch Fever, and one of the reasons that it didn't make it further in the process, I think, is because it was released in 1976. Now, I know for all the purists out there, they're probably, like, just again, in my own crazy head, I'm sort of like, you know, I'm Not in Love, which we put Breaking the Law by Judas Priest, which I think was from 1980, with a song by 10cc called I'm Not in Love, which was released in 75. And we did that because Chuck loves I'm Not in Love so much. He's just like, dude, this is one of my favorite songs when I was a kid.
It makes me cry.
Yeah, so and it's a great song. There's no question about it. But he finally talked me into it by saying, dude, her mom probably gave it to her, and that's why it was in her CD collection. And I'm like, okay, well, then that's fine, you know. So, you know, but all the 80s stuff, I mean, we wanted no question on the riffs that these guys were, you know, children of the 80s. I think Metallica, the Enter Sandman thing came out in 91. So that's.
Well, you actually had several 70s tunes in there.
Yeah, well, what else have we got from the 70s?
The Queen stuff.
Which one?
Queen.
Queen? Yeah, We Will Rock, Bohemian Rhapsody from 75. Yeah, but that's, you know.
We Will Rock You was off of the
That too. That's
News of the World album.
It goes to prove that if you read the story and you take it too literal, then the joke's on you.
Exactly.
You know?
So
we're going to do what we like and what we think people like, regardless of the time period.
Yeah, we already have some bitchin' ideas for the second record. In fact, you know what's really fun is that we put a thing on our website. Again, it's rocksugarband.com, where people can put their suggestions for songs for us to put together. And you know, I don't have to be the first to tell you that anybody whose suggestion we actually use, we're totally going to credit them and get a major props. You know, but we already have several ideas for the next record because there's a lot of things that got left over that I'm looking forward to working on. But hopefully that's going to be a little while down the road because we've got a lot of shows to do. You know.
So what you're saying is there's a chance now, because we've opened this door, that we could see Cat Scratch Fever with Lady Gaga's Bad Romance or something.
Dude, you could see anything with anything, and I think that all those things are fair game now, because like I said, there's no more island, and the story in the second CD book will be all about how they're trying to acclimate, you know, the internet.
Yeah.
And cell phones and other things like that, you know. But yeah, anything is possible, Rustin.